Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I will be previewing the Week 14 matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 300 subscribers by the end of the year. And we would love any help possible to get to that goal. So if you have not already, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell so you can see when we create new content. Share this video with your Bills fans, your Bucs fans. Say, hey, look at these geniuses, or hey, look at these dumbasses. What are they talking about? They don't even know. Like this video, comment on this video, and let us know your thoughts on who's going to win this game. And Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
These two teams are coming into the season, definitely potential Super Bowl matchup, and still a potential Super Bowl matchup. I think there's still a lot of potential with both teams, some areas to improve on. But however, though, one team I think has just kind of consistently been in its stride with a couple bumps along the way, and one team is slowly starting to, I think, kind of tailspin out, as now the Bills, with their loss last night to your New England Patriots, are now 7-5. They are sitting on the edge of being outside of the bubble instead of inside the bubble where you want to be. 7th in the AFC at 7-5. Big game today, and they have another big game in a couple weeks against the Patriots as well. What do the Bills need to do to get a victory and kind of get all this pressure off of them? Go 8-5. This is going to sound like a dumb statement, but at this point in the season, being 8-5 is a hell of a lot better than 7-6, especially with how tight the AFC playoff race is.
Well, to put in perspective, right now the Browns are 12th in the AFC and they're 6-6. So going 7-6 could not only take them out of the playoffs, it could put them in a double-digit seed in the AFC. I mean, it really could. So I think the Bills in this game, they really need a bounce back. I think the biggest thing for them is going to be stopping the run. I know the Buccaneers' passing attack is really, really deadly, and I'll get to that in a second. But stopping the run, Tom Brady loves to run the passing game through the play action. And when the run game is clicking, this offense is impossible to stop, because then you will never be able to know when they're going to run it and when they're going to pass it, and then they will just eat you alive. So with that being said, I also think that's going to be a really tough task, because I think they're going to have to bring a guy out of the box and put him in the secondary, because, I mean, you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. They have put up the Buccaneers have put up 30 or more points in their last 3 matchups, and they put up 29 again. They put up 27 against the Saints. So it's definitely an offense that is very deadly. And I think that goes without saying. And I think the Bills are really going to have to stop the run and make Tom Brady just go back in the shotgun and pass. So it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay offense, they are ranked number 1 overall in points per game with 31.4. The Bills, to me, I agree with you, and it's not really just on the running defensive side of the ball stopping the run. I think they're also going to have to find a way to run against this team, against the Buccaneers defense, which is ranked 2nd overall in running yards allowed per game at 84.3. And that's where I think that, to me, is going to be where this game's going to be won and lost. And I think the Bills are honestly overrated on the running side of the ball. If you take away Josh Allen's running stats for the year, they've only have about 800 yards of rushing on the ground. And it's not like they're doing a lot of design QB run plays with Josh Allen. I think that they're going to have to find some way to kind of get the some running yards. And if they don't do that, they're going to become really one-dimensional, really easy to play against. And it's beneficial because this Tampa Bay secondary is not that great. But however, though, they can provide a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. They can contain Josh Allen. And I think if they don't find some way to get some running attack going, it's going to be very easy to play against this Bills offense.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, that I want to add that you kind of talked about is Josh Allen getting out of the pocket. I think the Buccaneers might have 2 of the best linebackers at containing quarterbacks in Levante David and Devin White. Both of those guys are extremely athletic. They play sideline to sideline, and they did it to Patrick Mahomes last year. But when he would roll out, those guys would shoot and their closing speed is phenomenal. And so I think Josh Allen is going to have to stay in the pocket for most of the game. He's super deadly when he rolls out to the right. But again, if they can kind of knock that off and play kind of like a zone blitz scheme,
Mm-hmm.
that's what New England kind of did last night. That's what the Jaguars did to beat the Bills a few weeks ago. So I think it's definitely an interesting matchup. I'm very excited to see what the Buccaneers dial up to attack this Buffalo offense, because weather conditions are going to be much, much different on this game versus the Patriots game.
Well, and that's what we were talking about too, especially for that Monday night game. Like, if you haven't seen any of the highlights, go watch the highlights. The score was boring, but it was just watching them have to play in those weather conditions, 50-mile-per-hour winds up in Buffalo, and it's well below freezing. Like, it was just a fun game to watch. But to me, though, this is where the Bills' run defense is overrated, in my opinion, because it's like everyone in the stadium knew that the Patriots were just going to run the ball constantly. They don't have the passing attack like how the Bills do, and Josh Allen still threw the ball for 30 times in a game, but it was only 50% completion percentage, just because that's how windy it was. Not a knack on Josh Allen and the passing offense. But what I'm saying, though, is like they know they're not going to be able to throw the ball, so like you have to stop the run. And they gave up 200-plus yards to the Patriots running the ball. And there was the 160-yard running touchdown. But even then, you take that away, I think we did the math. It's about 100. I think they had 160 yards outside of that touchdown run, and still averaged about 4 yards per carry.
If you take out the kneel downs and the QB sneaks that are only designed to get 1 or 2 or like lose yards, then they would average about 4 a carry instead of 5 yards.
And so I think LeGarrette Blount, if they don't figure out some way to get their like run defense magic back that they had at earlier part of the year, I think it's going to open up the play action for the Buccaneers. LeGarrette Blount's going to have a day.
Leonard Fournette, not LeGarrette Blount.
Sorry, my bad. Leonard Fournette. I hope LeGarrette Blount has a great Sunday. I hope his Sunday's great. But Leonard Fournette is also. Yes, I know Leonard Fournette is also going to have a great day on Sunday, and then so will this Bucs offense, because then they don't need the run game to have a great passing day. But when the run game is working, it's only going to open up doors on the passing side.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I do want to add, kind of a little bit more about the run game, is I think the Buccaneers have an underrated run game. Their offensive line is very physical. They had a few injuries on it this year that kind of slowed them down in the middle. But against the Colts, Leonard Fournette had a day, and he only gets better as the game goes on. As they wear down that defense, he gets better. So I think this is definitely a really tough matchup for Buffalo. So, I guess with that, I think that's a pretty good segue into kind of what we think is going to happen. So, Tyler, what do you think is going to happen on Sunday? And who do you think is going to come out on top?
So I think it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If I'm not mistaken, I think if they win this game, I think it locks up the division for them with only 4 games left, and I think at least a 4-game lead. Then they own all the tiebreakers against all the other NFC South teams. I think it's going to be huge motivation for them. They're also kind of in a playoff battle as well. They're not out of the hunt to be the number 1 seed, get a first-round bye, get home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. That would be huge for them. I think that they also, just on top of that, I think they're the better team just in general. I think they're just playing better right now. I think the Bills are coming off a shortened week, and I just think that they are going to not be able to perform nearly as well down in Tampa. I think Tampa is going to put up their average. I think it's going to be 31 points, and I think they're going to hold the Bills to 31-24 Tampa Bay.
I am also going to pick the Buccaneers. So the Bills have played 5 teams that are currently in playoff contention. They are 1-4 against those teams, and usually those teams like the Colts, Patriots, Titans, what's the other one?
Chiefs
the Steelers
have
Chiefs and Steelers, but they beat the Chiefs. But the Steelers, they all have good pass rushes, and they all can run the football. And I think that's kind of been this Buffalo kryptonite is pass rushes and defense, because I don't think the Patriots have a great pass rush. I think their pass rush is very good, but they got after Josh Allen on those dropbacks. They had 2 sacks and 14 hurries. So on about half of the dropbacks, they made Josh Allen hurry. So
Yeah.
that's to me. I think Josh Allen is in for another rough day in Florida. And I'm going to pick the Buccaneers to win. I'm going to say 38-28.
Well, and that goes back to kind of what I was saying though about the Bills' run game is, or just how their lack of a run game makes them one dimensional and makes teams kind of easy to scheme against for them, where they can provide pressure on Josh Allen, and make those receivers like have to get open really quickly and have quick plays. If you have a nice balanced offense similar to how Tampa does, then you don't really know how to game plan, and then the offense can make adjustments. But with the Bills, where they can't run really that effectively, outside of maybe Josh Allen scrambling on a consistent basis, it is tough for them to get into rhythm without just throwing the ball on every single play. So I agree. I think Tampa Bay is going to do something similar, especially with that front seven being as good as it is, and they do have a weakened secondary. But I don't think that's going to play in nearly as much of a factor, because I think they're going to get after Josh Allen a lot.
Yeah, I think even though the Buccaneers have a weakened secondary, I know this video is running on a little bit long, but we'll wrap up it shortly. But even though the Buccaneers, I think, have a weakened secondary, I think they are getting better. Antoine Winfield Jr. is back, and he's been playing well. I know Carlton Davis is back. So, like, they're getting healthier, and I think they're just getting healthy right at the right time. So I think there's just a lot more things going in Tampa Bay's favor than Buffalo's right now. And that's why I think they're going to win. But other than that, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for making it this far. And if you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I have a goal of hitting 300 subscribers by the end of the year. And leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win this one. And we will see you guys next time.
Nice.